The 4 phases of Power Query. There are 4 phases to using Power Query. Phase 1. Connect. Make connections to data in the cloud, on a service, or locally. Phase 2. Transform. Shape data to meet your needs, while the original source remains unchanged. Phase 3. Combine. Integrate data from multiple sources to get a unique view into the data. Phase 4. Load. Complete your query and load it into a worksheet or data model and periodically refresh data. Connect. With Power Query, you can then bring all those data sources together, for example, from file including Excel workbook or tables, from database or Azure. Then using our own unique transformations and combinations to uncover insights. Once imported, we can refresh the data to bring in additions, changes, and deletes from the external data source. Transform. Transforming data means modifying it in some way to meet your data analysis requirements. For example, we can remove a column, remove rows, or split column. Each of these operations is a data transformation. This process of applying transformations and combining to one or more sets of data is also called shaping data. Power Query Editor is used to facilitate and display data transformations. We can open the Power Query Editor by selecting Launch Query Editor from the Get Data command in the Get and Transform data group. The Power Query Editor keeps track of everything we do with the data by recording and labeling each transformation, or step, that we apply to the data. We can view and modify each transformation in the Applied Steps section of the Query Settings pane. For example, we're going to rename the column Unit Cost to Product Cost. We will see the renamed columns appears. To undo this step, just delete it in the applied step. All the transformations we apply to our data connections collectively constitute a query, which is a new representation of data source, but unchanged data source. When you refresh a query, each step runs automatically. Combine. We can combine multiple queries in our Excel workbook by appending or merging them. The append and merge operations are performed independently of the data sources. Append. An append operation creates a new query that contains all rows from a first query followed by all rows from a second query. Merge. A merge operation creates a new query from 2 existing queries. This one query contains all columns from a primary table, with one column serving as a navigation link to a related table. The related table contains all rows that match each row from a common column value in the primary table. Load. There are 2 main ways to load queries into your workbook. From the Power Query Editor, you can use the close and load commands in the close group on the Home tab. From the Excel Workbook Queries pane, select Queries and Connections. You can right-click a query and select Load to. For example, we're going to add one sales line to the data source and save the file. Then we load the sales query. Now you can see the additional line of sales appear in the query table. You can also fine-tune your load options by using the Query Options dialog box. Select File, Options and Settings, Query Options. In this box, we can select how we want to view your data and where you want to load the data.